Hey everyone, with the maintenance that's going to be starting on the 8th, bringing part 3 of Fate, I'll be talking about Saber and whether or not I think you should summon for her, as well as some of my thoughts. Starting off, Sabers are Dark Human and her slots are 6-star physical, 5-star defense, and 4-star physical and defense. These are actually pretty solid slots, especially the 5-star defense, considering that it's going to be really good for endgame content since it'll really help to keep the team alive. She doesn't necessarily need LB 6 or 7 either, considering that there aren't any 6-star physicals to benefit her, and while the 4-star defense is good, it'd be wasted on her. Only LB her if you get duplicates. For her skill, it gives 50 arts, and if it crits, it gets 30 more, with an 11-second CT. That's a pretty insane amount of arts, equaling to around 7.2 arts a second, so basically a really strong solo art gen skill. For her arts, it does 26,000 dark damage physical and increases all allies' stats by 30% for 20 seconds. This is basically a Vox art, but with nearly double the duration, so it's going to be really good for endgame content that sorta needs a pseudo heal, especially when paired with someone like Haruto. For her true art, it does 64,000 dark damage physical, and for 30 seconds she gets 100% damage and lowers dark resist of the enemies by 70%. This is definitely really good since the buff is so long, while not only giving damage but lowering elemental resist, meaning that her total damage potential heavily increases. As for her super art, it does 170,000 dark damage physical, and during the super art she gets 60% super crit rate. The simplicity of the super art definitely shows how strong it is. 60% super crit is insanely high, and pairing that with a 170,000 damage modifier, this attack will melt pretty much any enemy. That's not even including the damage buff and dark resist debuff from her true art. Alternating her true art and super art will allow her to do a ton of damage, and she's pretty much gonna wipe any piece of content with general ease. As for her passives, when she's at 50% or higher HP, she gets 100% crit rate, and when she's hit with status ailments, she reduces her accuracy by 30%. She gets 40% poison resist, as well as 25% attack up when above 90% HP. The crit passive is really strong in comparison to units like Fire Orville or Shaltir, since rather than needing to be above 70 to 80% HP, she only needs to be at 50%, meaning that she can run Grief on her 4-star physical slot and still be critting the enemy. The accuracy debuff is kind of unfortunate, especially with how many endgame bosses inflict them, but worst case scenario, if they can't be resisted or cleansed, you could always run the 3-star physical Karks to give her 30% accuracy so that it cancels it out. The poison resist is whatever, although the attack buff is pretty nice so that she has something else besides just damage buffs and debuffs in her kit, basically balancing out her total damage. As for her true weapon, it's a 5-star physical, it does 8,000 dark damage physical, and for 10 seconds you get 50% damage, and dark units get 50% attack as well with a 50-second CT. That's an insanely strong active effect since it has a nice amount of not only damage but attack, so that it's basically able to fully max out how much she can really do. For the passives, it'll give Saber 80% crit damage as well as 5% magic resist. That damage pretty much makes this a required equip for Saber to reach her max damage. Overall, if you do have Saber though, I'd claim this since it nearly doubles her passive damage with True Art to 180% damage, and with the True Weapon active effect, she gets 230% damage, not even counting the 300% damage you get per super crit hit. But overall, Saber is a very interesting character. Compared to the other Fate units, she isn't as much of a must-have unit, but she is still very solid overall for what she does. And considering there aren't many 100% innate crit units with a defense slot, she fills that weird niche which will make her useful in the endgame in stages like Summoner's Road or higher floors of the mines. But she's not only insane in sustain comps, but with her high modifier and super crit on super art, she can put out beastly amounts of damage and nukes. She's slept on a lot when everyone compares her to the other units, but she still will always shine above other DPS even if they do more damage than her, solely because of the fact that she has a defense slot and her art is able to basically heal the team. I wouldn't say she's worth a pity since I would aim for Emiya and then Chloe, but I do hope that I can pull her, although we'll have to see how that goes. Let me know your thoughts about her. I personally wouldn't go too deep for her unless you just really like her character or need a really high damager. But even if you do need a really high damager, I'd still stick with pitying someone like Emiya or even Chloe, or just saving for Stargod Lisa in general, because later on down the line, Emiya is going to be really helpful, and I wouldn't say a damager like Saber is going to be as helpful, but she is still really good as I've shown throughout this video. If you did enjoy the video though, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you later.